fucking do.
Alright, so, I mean, I'm still thinking about naming it How Was Work, but,
Audio issues, obvious. Gonna work on getting that fixed.
like,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
this is going on. People still got jobs.
It's true.
Still folks out here, like, struggling to pay rent and shit during the revolution, you know?
That's fucking tough. And, like, yeah, Oklahoma's serving evictions right now, too. Like, literally, like, right the fuck now.
Mm-hmm. People.
Absolutely crazy.
It's not, it hasn't really gotten violent in Oklahoma, though.
Nope.
Not
There was a little fire last night. There was a little unrest, but the people, I was watching when the people were inching closer to the Oklahoma Police Department. They're just taking little steps, and they point the guns, and then they all back up, and then they would keep doing it, and then they got one step too close, and then the police was just wrecking that shit. Pow, clack, pow, clack.
Yeah.
And they're all running. They throw a tear gas grenade thing. Somebody picks it up and throws it back. Then they shoot more and throw another one, and they all dispersed, and that was it. That was the most I've seen, I think. I mean, they're at it again, obviously, right now, but we'll see. Everywhere else is getting violent, though, and I expected it, like, literally anywhere that's going right now, they are mad.
They sure are. What do you think they're mad about, Darius?
Well, it's kind of weird. Like, what percentage of this is just ragers? You know, people who just go to the rave, right? Because there's a rave, and they want to rage. And what percent? Because it seems like the peaceful protesters really care about, you know, the reason that they're there or something. And I don't know. But then, yeah, the provocateurs, right? What percentages are these guys with the shit, and they're just busting windows out, setting fires and walking away?
Yeah, I mean, there've been already countless of, like, video documented infiltrators in pretty much every protest. Yeah, been going all the way back since I started following this shit. And apparently the Romans did it, so, yeah, like, since the beginning.
Wow. Oh my god, that is such a Roman thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just walk by in a little crowd, give them a little shivvy. I was one of them niggas, for sure. Let's get him.
Smash. Oh, look, he broke this window.
You son of a bitch. And all of your clan. Tina showed me a video of this, it's like 75-year-old black man screaming at the crowds because they burned his shit down. He's like, I was trying to make it. You stole my computer. You took my stuff. You burnt my business. I was trying to make it. It's like, where do you... Oof. It's, I don't know, man. It's fucked up. It's like, was that us?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? And also, I don't know, though, that I have any criticism for people that are rioting or angry, and I mean, that's the voice they have left, really.
That's it.
I mean, I saw businesses in Minnesota too that, like, got burned down and were like, yeah, that sucks, but, like, you are how our business run anyway. You gave us all this. We're fucking
Right.
with you. That's bullshit. They can't be killing us. We'll
That's
rebuild
fuck.
if we can. If not, like, whatever. They can't be killing us.
Straight up. I want to see a Walmart overrun, bro. More than anything at all. That's what I really want to see. Is a fucking... I mean, they fucked up a Target, sure, in Minnesota, right? But
Yeah.
let's get in the back. Let's get in the back, bro.
I want to see fucking get in the banks, man. Find
Yo,
out,
I was
find
watching the
out what
Philadelphia
banks and
one.
shit the police keep their money in. Smash
Yeah,
that shit. That's
see,
a message. Nah. Fuck.
that's when it's really gonna kick off. They were busting out windows in the Wells Fargo, though, I saw in
That's what's up.
Philadelphia, but nobody was in that bitch. I'm like, ain't that a bunch of pussy motherfuckers running through the jeans? But we ain't looking for the circular saw. I guess I won't do that job. Pussy shit. They was fucking in schools in a strip mall. Uh, so I guess I'm with riding.
Word. I also with writing.
I feel like
All right, like
oh
I
yeah,
at least am not again. Like I got nothing to say against writing because I don't know what you
right.
should do. I like everybody that's out here trying to manage people is saying like you just gotta vote. You gotta use this opportunity to work from within the system. Like fucking how long? How many decades? How many
Oh,
hundreds of
it's
years you
not
gotta be
working.
fucking property and shit? Like before, fuck
Crazy.
it. They bring the army out here and kill you. Like we died anyway. Like they
Dying
fucking choking
anyway.
us one way or the other.
Oof. This came at a crazy time too, right? It's like
They sure did.
it was already unprecedented times, and now like what's more unprecedented than burning down a police station, a precinct?
That was a good image.
Yeah. Bust open a jail. What the fuck's gonna happen, bro?
That's what I'm talking about. I think if there's any
Who knows,
issue
bro?
with the rioting, and it's not something I hold against the rioters so much as the media. These people who are like out here handling the situation instead of like standing in solidarity. Is that the conversation isn't about like what we want. It's about all this crazy shit is happening, and we're like all at peak outrage and never get to the point like where we're talking about like what's actually going on here. Like why are all of these people so mad that they're burning down their own cities? Why do they
Yeah.
feel so voiceless and helpless? Like why do they feel like this isn't their city? Because they wouldn't burn their own fucking house down if it was
Yeah. You
theirs.
and yeah. That's the last thing you would want.
And like why did arresting that officer not
Well,
placate them?
anything.
Because
Nothing.
it's not about just killing George Floyd. It was never
Right.
about that. It was about the position that like makes his life less than human.
That's right. Damn.
I mean, you could like serve individual justice all you want, but you're just doing lip service as long as the math equal like social math equals out to these people are not people. The thing will keep happening because that's the math of your society just says that.
Yeah, you know what? Really, what else is there? I mean, these people obviously have. I mean, we obviously have nothing, nothing at all. So we're taking what we can get,
Yep.
and that's what the fuck's right in front of me, right?
Yep.
The shit that you're making me live in. Oy.
And like it's the
Slippery
difference
spot.
between like why there is a right in this country, but there's not a left. Because the left is all out here fucking saying bad dog to their people. And the right is like, well, you better give them what they want, I guess.
Yeah.
They like took over state buildings and shit, and they're like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, look, they got big guns. I guess you better do what they say.
And that
But then
fucking
when the left is protested, fucking all their leaders, mayors and shit are out there like, oh,
suck
you
it.
should stay home. And
Yeah. Don't do this. How do you feel about Killer Mike's statement? I really liked The opening.
Yeah,
That
isn't it
shit would
ironic? Like,
sound
was he
fire.
wearing like a "Kill Your Master" shirt and saying like,
Yeah.
"No, don't, no."
Oh yeah, and he dropped a little fuck your broadcast on there too. He was like, we don't want to fucking get dressed with the niggas. Fuck that. That's bullshit. I don't give a fuck. I guess he's saying, don't burn down his fucking businesses, nigga. I own 10 barbershops down here. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
But
that I mean that is what he's
mobilize.
saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, if you are invested in the system, like if you're a successful person that owns businesses and the system is invested back in you, then like you're not coming from the same perspective. So that's not a genuine thing to me when you're saying like don't burn the system, let's work with it. And you know like for sure that all this time this is what working with it is. You're just protecting
This is
your
it.
shit. You're not saying like I hear you. Like I hear y'all, I'm with y'all. And that's what I want to. I mean, that's what I want to hear from people that like have experienced success. Not like we're on this side of the line now.
Right.
I'm sad, but this is how shit works. I'm not into
This
that.
is it. Yeah. I mean, this is it. Literally, this is all they have. We have. I don't know what the fuck's going on with this semi. But the driver is now out of it. There's a crowd of about 150 people on this highway. I mean, it's got to be more, right?
Mm.
What the fuck's going on? Anyway, Twin Cities. So that's Minneapolis, right?
Is it like trying to push through the crowd?
You probably maybe something like that happened. Because like, what do you do if you're trapped on the highway and goddamn, I've needed to shit for 20 minutes and I'm just trying to get into town. My baby's crying in the car. I need some gas. All I have is this Mac 10. I have my constituents around me. They don't understand my plight. I think they're group destroying this fellow. They're destroying this fellow as a group. I think. Yeah, somebody is definitely getting wrecked right there. I've seen a lot of this too, and it's a lot of semi drivers. A FedEx driver, I saw some stuff.
Somebody like dragged somebody to death.
You saw that?
Sure did.
That's something I thought I'd not see, you know? But then, you know what? We've seen it all already, right? So, I mean, I haven't seen that before, I guess.
I just
It's
like
too much.
got it. And this whole time I've been talking, like all these years, I've been talking about political shit. Like you have to boil that away and get back to the ontology of the situation. Like you have to decide what your values are, what is important to you, what matters, and what you fight for, and you build your politics out of that. And it's just like the issue to me that's happening, the reason that violence has escalated and shit, or well, besides obviously the fucking police, is
Right.
we refuse to take seriously the question of like of white supremacy in this country, more or less. I like until you acknowledge the inequality gap and the fucking uh, uh, prison gap and all, you know all these things that like together equal the value of a black male in particular's life is not worth shit to the point that like they can be murdered over and over on video, like straight up fucking murdered and it not really matter,
Nothing happens.
boils up into this kind of event that isn't really about like this one person or whether that one cop gets in trouble. It's about like that is a symptom or symptomatic or evidence of the fact that we don't matter. Like these aren't our cities. We don't own this shit. You, we're not worth anything. You just put us in fucking farms and make us fucking slaves again. You concentrate us in uh, uh, districts by demographic and concentrate all the poverty on that demographic. You take away all the jobs and give them all the like. One of the questions about freedom is risk, and there's no like riskier thing to do than be a black male in America. There's no riskier position to be in here. No matter what you do, if you do it as a black male, it's disproportionately riskier, hundreds of times riskier. Not just in terms of you getting in trouble at all, but the like volume of trouble you get into. It puts you in like a systemic grind you can never get out of. And like I mean, this is all socially engineered. It has been this way from the beginning. It's like something we never addressed morally, and so we'll never escape morally.
Jesus. Ah, this one seems different. Why is that?
I don't know. I mean,
I
but
think
I don't know. I
good.
don't know if it is though. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope so. Really,
I think they killed this nigga.
the truck driver?
I think so
Oh
because
shit.
before it was a giant like beehive of people
Yeah.
surrounding this one central point, and then the police came in and started spraying people. Now everybody's walking slowly. And they got a group of 7 black people running away. They're just like,
Yeah.
they're ones, and they got away. But then, I don't know, there was more. I don't know, people are walking so slowly, I feel like something crazy happened. I'm seeing some faces. I don't know, man. Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, what do you think the odds are? That this is just the
Shit
same thing?
changing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't even make an educated guess. Historically, I'm pretty cynical. From when I
Yeah.
started watching this kind of thing, fucking Occupy in Oakland or whatever, and seeing the same kind of shit, the
A lot.
police infiltrating and starting fights, and then them just killing people and just totally getting away with it, even though everybody watched it happen, didn't matter at all. And that was all over the country at that time too. And then the Ferguson protest in Baltimore, when this happened in Baltimore, and they sent in the National Guard, and same thing. And it didn't matter like who had political power, because Ferguson in Baltimore happened while Obama was president.
Right.
So like,
Damn. That's so recently. And it's like, I mean, there was shit like this, not like this, but not even that far back, right? It was like a little bit of unrest and then these explosions.
um, but a lot of those times, like, I mean, it seemed like one of the eventual downfalls of the Occupy situation was they didn't really have clear demands.
Right, they were just like, we're here, just standing here, everybody's here. What do we
Yeah,
do?
y'all are
I'm like,
bullshit. Fuck you guys.
yeah,
Which, like, I totally agree with, but, like, then they didn't really, like, capture a narrative, it seemed like.
yeah,
And, of course, media and everything involved in the world is complicit in that. But, um, like, I've never seen it have a lasting hold or effect or anything. It just, like, everything else seems to just get swept under the rug, and we keep progressing in the same ways that we were before it happened.
right.
Maybe even just further escalated. So at some point, does the answer become outright revolution? And can you blame people? And that, that's one of the things that I'm talking about. The mayors and shit handling their people is like, do they not have a just desire for revolution? What are you saying?
Right? To like calm down, stop that.
Yeah.
You go to the polls, which has done nothing for you this entire time. Oof.
And I'm not saying like, and I don't even know that like you can have a revolution at this point in modern history. I think it would be required for the armed forces, National Guard and Army in particular, to just refuse orders and be people. And I don't know if that's a thing that will happen. I have no idea whether that would happen in that sort of hypothetical situation. I don't know that you could oppose the actual state power, so I don't know like that you could stand against like the unified state in a
No, it
revolution.
doesn't work. It doesn't happen. Cause like
I mean, and then you think hypothetically about the long-term effects of like an occupied America where many major cities are occupied and run by military force. In the event that like there was a revolution and it was shut down by a unified state or whatever. I mean, then long term, what does that look like? Do we end up being China? It does. Does it dissolve? Who fuck? I don't know. I honestly don't know what happens if like you refuse to de-escalate, and I can't advise anyone to de-escalate because I don't know how to tell you like what the fucking pot is at the end of where the end of the rainbow is. No fucking idea. I've seen.
Don't give up your freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-mm.
Seen what?
I don't know.
I mean, you have seen it though. I mean, you fight, and then eventually everyone gives up and goes back to work. Yeah, over and over again.
One of the things contributing to this definitely is the corona situation. I mean, we're at like 40% unemployment or some horseshit right now, so people got the time on their hands.
Jesus.
And are already in like desperate and destitute situations anyway, and now even pandemically so.
Curfew in Los Angeles.
Probably curfew in most major cities.
Man.
You've seen videos in Minneapolis, National Guard rolling down the street in their big Hummers and tanks and shit, just peppering houses. Fucking, get in the house, get in the fucking house.
I did see that video. I just seen.
Doesn't it like every time you hear a cop speak, it makes you mad as fuck?
Yeah.
It fills me with hate.
Yeah. It's like.
You fucking every one of them is my dad. It's that same like position. Yeah.
Come the fuck on, bro. Broski. Like really,
Fucking.
Damn, they're everywhere. Every live I'm looking at that's official from fucking news outlets or whatever. They're all looking at army niggas.
Yep.
National.
Yep.
It's over. Shouldn't have fucked with that truck driver so much, y'all. Sure, you shouldn't have been under the truck. You shouldn't be under a truck at any point, right? When I saw it,
I mean, I don't, dude. I mean, I don't know though, right? Because you got like monks and shit set themselves on fire in protest of like this kind of occupation of like Hong Kong or whatever.
Right.
In the past, like I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do, so I can't say don't do that. All I can say is like I see that you're suffering. I agree. Like we come from the same places.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. You're mad. I'm fucking mad. If you're burning shit, like fucking good fucking luck, man. Good fucking luck.
Try your fucking best. Never give up. Just never give up. Let hey, pause real quick. Thank you, sir. So what do you think about, I was thinking about this while I was trying to turn my fucking phone back on. Something's kind of fucking me up watching the usual stand around, yell at the cops protest is, when the camera goes over the skinny white boys section, they all get real hyphy and they're like, fuck the police, I hate them. And it's weird. Am I a racist?
I mean, maybe.
It feels like racism. I don't know. Does that bother you? They just seem so disinterested, a lot of them.
Until the camera's on them, do you mean? I'm not sure what I follow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even sometimes when the camera's panning over them, you'll see... I don't know, I really like the protesting style that I saw in, I don't know where the fuck it was, but they were just like on the side of a highway, and they were just turning up, to just have their music playing, people smoking blunts, just doing their chants, chilling, and then in some they're standing in front of the police, a bunch of whites and browns and some blacks and stuff, and like the blacks are doing their thing. They're just, usually there's one person just right in front of the police going blah 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 blah. Fuck you guys, you suck.
Mm-hmm.
And their camera's panning over the white folk. All right, this might sound a little racist. I don't know. They're like at a concert that they don't like, right? But they're there because they're right. I think that's the best analogy for it. They're just like standing there and like, yeah.
Not into this music, but I support it.
For sure. Yeah. Yes, hello. Fuck the police.
I just read that some people hacked the Chicago police radio during the protest and played Fuck the Police over it the whole time during the protest.
That's the kind of collaboration we need right there. Because, like, that's it. Now, just looking, man, what would there we go. No. Do you think we talked enough about the rioting?
I don't know.
I guess that was my last piece. Looks like the army guys are having a nice meeting. National Guard staging. Oh, they're staging. Does this mean they're gonna roll by with the blasters?
I mean, maybe. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Right. My buddy Jeff is like looking for somebody in Okmulgee with a forge because he wants to have a sword made and armor made.
Sounds a good way to get shot. Should just buy a gun. I don't really have the money to right this second, but I definitely thought about buying a gun.
Yeah, you know what's sad? Me too. And I'm thinking like, well, how do I know?
I'm not trying to get shot.
What if I can't go in?
That's
Can I go in there and stand next to her?
Nah. No, you sure can't.
That's killer, bro. Can I buy one online? What's going on here?
Yeah, you can.
Alright, I can have...
There are plenty of guns you can like only get online. Custom made shit. Get an Infinity 1911 45.
Ooh. 1911, huh? That's a beautiful, beautiful model.
I've been doing some research for that shit I was writing, so.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're fucking... Yeah.
I'm all up on my 45s right now.
I was gonna get a 22 mic, I don't know. I'm really looking at this fucking Ruger. So I shot it when I went with Mohammed. And I just like the look, and then I found a government issue with a 10-inch barrel, and that's just too much, right? But it's a 22, I kill a rabbit with that mother. Yeah, for real, man. What you saying, son? Oh, give me a minute, bro. Give me a fucking minute. Let me roll down the window. But yeah, that's why, I don't know. That's why I was looking at that shit. About, can you even use it as self-defense as a felon? Damn, they looting my day.
Hell no.
In Santa Monica. They is looting. Oh, this is casual, but then a motherfucker. Damn it, where'd they go? There you go.
Good. Nice. If I can get out.
It was just two
Good luck.
niggas walking side by side with 20 pairs of jeans. Yeah. My daughter gonna have a good day. Hey, where you got all these clothes? There's people waiting outside for the... Is this a whole mall they're tearing up?
Looked like it.
Curfew in effect till 5 a.m.
Yeah, I just got a alarm on my phone that's telling me about the Portland curfew tonight again.
That's disturbing.
8 p.m. to 6.
That's
Not into that
that's
shit.
actually disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Like, another National Guard's out everywhere. You mean like, or what? You're gonna open fucking fire on me? You're gonna fucking hit me with that tank? What? Like, or
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Open up a can of whoop ass on your shit, dude. Dude, I don't want to experience a flashbang, bro. But if I have to, I have to. And that's something, fuck it, man.
You know what? Like, I would love to see that, and I don't know how to reach it as some kind of... Because there's an underlying solidarity of, like, individual freedom between the protests now and all the fucking hillbilly white people with their assault rifle protests then. Like, those same people are upset about the curfew and their, like, lack of freedom and all this shit, and they're like, we won't be held down. But, like, even though now it applies to them also, it's not about them, so they're like, yeah, fuck those guys. And I don't know how, like, you could make that dialogue happen, but if you wanted something to happen, it would be very helpful to have those two, like, far apart sides be, like, on the same side. Because, like, all these protesters ain't out here armed with fucking ARs and shit.
No, nothing. This is a fire extinguisher. I mean, nothing.
And how you think all these fucking hillbilly militia types are going to act if the National Guard fires on them, you know?
They ain't gonna act nice.
Exactly. And there's something, like, underneath it all about, like, even just a curfew, even if you hate black people or whatever, you can, like, all say, like, I'm not trying to get curfewed, me or you. Which should bring you back to the original, like, anti-Nazi argument, right?
Yeah.
Like, if one of us isn't free, none of us are free.
Yeah.
So come out with your gun about it. That you say that's what you stand for.
You need a gun? I got you. Let's go. Man, that's how it happens. And I think that's what's really gonna make it happen, just what you said. Oh, they hit him with that shit.
Oh.
They was trying to build a barricade. They popped that motherfucker.
With what?
He ran away. It must be a beanbag.
Oh.
Or paint. I don't know. He acted like he died, so I think it might be a little pussy. Alright, here comes another one. Skater boy. Come on, skater boy. You about at that line? Oh, they hit him. He crouching now. Oh, don't hit this nigga. He'll come swinging. Alright. That's what I really want to see. It's like that one motherfucker hit with a beanbag that is not the right one.
Yeah.
He's just... I don't care. I'm not really feeling it, bro.
That makes cops mad. I saw a fucking video a couple days ago that cops tasering this dude and he didn't fall down. And the cop was so mad he ran up and drop kicked this motherfucker in his back and was like screaming, "Get on your knees!"
God.
He was so mad that taser didn't put him down.
He's like, what? I fucking cried for 3 weeks about that. To me, in the controlled environment. That's fucking... You see the video where I don't know if they sprayed the guy or what. Can't remember if they sprayed him or tased him, but then like, Oh, he was recording a cop and got real close, and the cop grabbed his phone and threw it, and they say he knocked him out. I didn't see the hook.
He knocked the cop out? Or the cop knocked him out? Word.
He
Nice.
knocked the cop the fuck out, like, real bad. Like, he was, like, his head was halfway under a car. And they said, I don't know, they said he was, like, convulsing and stuff. But, I mean, that's what they say happened, but the video kind of cut away.
Yeah.
And he came back, and the cop was like, and the dude was running.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's how quick it would happen if you grabbed someone's phone and threw it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
My hand
I'm already swinging. Yeah.
yeah.
No. I said that's another thing too. Like, I mean, you could say be peaceful all you want. These cops out here fucking acting wild and aggressive and shit. Like sometimes, like,
Smiling.
I mean, you fucking being all fucking aggressive and piggy and shit, and like shoving me and grabbing me. Like my just person to person instincts swing back.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hands on me, I'm swinging.
That's what the fuck you do. That's your job, is to protect yourself.
Yeah, that's the first rule of the ring. At all times.
Oh, they're building this barricade. They don't care. He's like, what do you do if these small businesses that are producing N95s and all this stuff start producing shields and batons and and distributing them through the community? It's like, what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
We got it too, bro. We are the police force ourselves. I mean, yeah, we already know what they're gonna do, but I don't know.
I mean that's the question. Like up until that point, you never know what comes after the Cold War, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees, like, to have an argument about who can escalate it farther. That's sort of the whole spirit of the situation. But, like, what if you call those people and, like, if you're helpless enough, if you're, like, not human enough according to the, like, rules that determine the outcomes of your society, so, like, that when the numbers come out, you're, like, 3/5 of a person or, you know, whatever it is, even after decades or centuries of trying to do this shit a particular way. God damn it, I lost my point.
Oh! This news report almost got backed over.
That's just crazy. I see, like, videos in New York and shit, SUVs just plowing into crowds of people. Fucking police don't give a fuck.
I saw a video of the cops, like, pushing a barricade with their SUV.
Saw that shit too. Ram.
This is the wrong era to be an oppressive unit.
I was talking about escalation. But, like, like, what comes at the point when the National Guard opens fire?
Like, real fire.
What if the people don't stop at the threat of, we'll shoot you? Do you actually start mowing people down? And then fucking what?
And then what?
And at what point do you get to the point, like, where people are not enfranchised enough for it to matter to them? This is a fight for survival, whether it's here and now or it's fucking in the streets all this time. So, like, you got your gun out finally. You're telling the truth. Come on.
Ooh.
All this time you've been doing this shit, like, behind your gun. Like I don't know what's in your pocket. But we both know it's in your fucking pocket.
And it's like, I mean, this is...
And you acting like you're nice and good people and shit, but, like, I mean, tell the truth. Be honest. Go ahead and get that gun out and tell me what you really, how you really feel and what you mean.
And they don't waste any time.
You gonna shoot me or not?
Blackmail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's out.
Yeah, they been have an answer for that.
Like that time, the first time I've been in Missouri, as soon as we got in, that cop grabbed my hands and pulled them coming back. I'm like, yo. And he's like, hey, stop resisting. I'm like, you didn't say a word.
Yeah.
You told me to get out of the car.
And isn't that kind of shit the, like, assumed authority to do whatever the fuck they want?
Like, you could bend me over and start fucking me in the ass right then.
They do that shit to people and get away with it. They actually do that shit to people.
They actually do that to people. I'm just thankful I'm not that beautiful.
Man.
I was looking like Shit.
It's looking like a treat.
He's like, no, I'm taking a little bit of this. Because it's all there for them.
Man.
How did I ever even tell you that, like, I was riding in a car with two of my female coworkers, and he took them both in the car before he took me, and I didn't even realize he, like, backed up, like, 20 feet and talked to both of them like that.
Yeah, in case they were, like, getting double kidnapped or something, you know?
It's so fucking crazy. So crazy.
I still remember that
Forced a
fucking
confession on him.
cop when we went and gave you the night you got out of jail fucking, like, having a lecture for us about how, like, we shouldn't be friends with your type of people and, like, what can we possibly see in a thug like you? And I'm like, oh my god.
I don't even know.
You think you're talking to one of you who doesn't understand me? You got me fucked up. You got us all fucked up. We out here for our boy.
Even if that was the fucking reality of the situation, right? That's what the fuck are you doing? That's my boy. My boy getting out.
Yeah, people is people.
Talking about that.
You just this whole dialogue has got to back the fuck up to, like, we have to agree that people is people and that this whole system is dehumanizing particular people and has been designed this way. It's built on this fact from the beginning, and you gotta take it down and redo it. You gotta, like, talk about reparations and fucking job guarantees and shit that, like, lift people out of poverty, but you ain't trying to talk about that. You're trying, I mean, those people don't matter, so you just put them all together and turn them into prison jobs and fucking arms manufacturing jobs, because all the fucking military gear that gets made redundantly, they just make, like, new sets of military gear every year and then pass it down to the police. So they can, you know, do this kind of shit and terrorize brown and black and poor people. Yeah.
They got like a fucking couple of tanks and a monkey.
Those are all jobs. Like, those are all programs that make jobs, but they're making jobs for white people out of black people.
That's amazing. Smart motherfuckers. These motherfuckers smart. Let's do it our goddamn selves.
It's not technically called slavery. Just, like, step back a couple of steps.
It just looks a lot like it. Just functions a whole lot like it.
I mean, it's, like, fully documented, too. Even, like, the word ghetto is a Nazi term, and the reason that our cities got set up that way was because we absorbed the Nazi scientists and infrastructure people after the war and got, like, advice about how to do this. And now everybody's just like, what? Like, and even, like, people are like, oh, but I'm not a racist. Why would you destroy my business? Like, I mean, if you ain't out here fighting, then yes, you are.
I guess so. I was thinking about how people were saying, what if you burn down a business and there's an apartment above it or something like that? And I was thinking, they're going to say, why the fuck aren't you out here? Fuck your shit. We're out here. We don't have our shit. But, damn, man. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, like, a bunch of, like, terrible shit will happen in a revolution. Yeah. Inexcusable, horrible shit, but, like, I don't know, like, at what point that sort of catastrophic change is required at any cost, and how you tell people who have been fucking oppressed and stomped on and murdered and held down in every way for hundreds of years that it's not that time. Like, you know, if you're not, like, to me that just says you're not with those people.
Yeah, because you don't even know it is time.
Yeah, unless you got some specific answer or the power to do it, then the fuck are you talking about? The only thing, like, I got to say is, yeah, it's fucked. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about it, but fucking Godspeed.
Godspeed. Maybe that's why I hate the uninterested concert goer look. Because go home, motherfucker, while you're here. It's like you ain't doing shit, you ain't got shit to do here.
I think a lot of maybe though. You're a racist. No, I think a lot. But I think a lot of what happens maybe at protests like is just standing around, so that might be like pretty natural. I mean, like we see a lot of the highlights, the big explosions of action or whatever. But I mean, people are out in the streets for dozens of hours every day. I imagine a lot of it is just kind of like standing around, you know.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like a racist because, like, then I'm thinking, well, fuck it, we need these numbers no matter how uninterested they are. If Timmy gets hit with a fucking tear gas canister and gets his knee blown out, his mom is gonna have some shit to say.
Yeah,
Probably.
yep. His mom's a boomer. She's gonna say that they shouldn't have been out there
Oh,
disrupting
yeah.
society.
My son's retarded.
He's always been a piece of shit.
They're standing off with him.
There are some places
So,
where like cops have been putting their shit down and walking with the people and stuff. And I don't think that has happened before, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But is that weird though?
I mean, yeah, maybe it sure may be a sort of deflection, you know. Like, yeah, we're all together in this now. Go back home.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like, I mean, like, some of these people should be charged with war crimes. And, like, if the fucking National Guard come down and start opening fire and shit, like, do we, like, go to the fucking UN like it's the Civil War?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like, how far do you turn, like, if the National Guard opens fire, how far do you turn into revolution? And that's what I meant about who knows what happens if you don't back down from the threat of violence. It's always just been Cold War.
Alright. They're talking with the leader. The police have the leader. That nigga he was the one that was getting the closest. They shot a guy before him. They got him. They're gonna arrest that nigga. You think he's talking? They're gonna take his ass. The camera left. The camera. Yeah, they putting him in a motherfucking van right now.
Yep.
Damn, there were other topics. There were other things. What are you looking for? Somewhere. You can set up against them. Were there other topics, Mike?
I don't know. We've just been talking about pandemic shit before.
That's right.
Which is still going on.
Which is still going on in these massive groups of people. That's another.
Mm-hmm.
I fucked that thing up. They're trying to move their barricades forward. Dun dun. Santa Monica's going off. Oh, there's 100,000 people watching this. Baby, should I go do on the street reporting during the riots?
Yes.
She said yes too. I guess that means. My that day, I almost killed myself by jumping on your bed. I was drunk. And you said I'm too committed to physical comedy.
Or just the right amount committed, but yes.
I guess, yeah.
If it's less than 110%, just leave it home.
Well, it still rings true to this day. And I've been trying to fucking work on that, but it doesn't happen. Like, I spilled an entire cup of, or not, half a cup of lemonade just all over all the shit because I go to her and saying something, and then, what, did you, I don't know, I guess the answer was just no, right? It was a funny thing, and you're like, no, haha. And then I kicked a fucking flip-flop off of my foot, and just wrecked everything.
Just ruined your whole life.
In the world. Yeah, and I had to just change the whole world in here and everything. Just because I want to kick a flip-flop off my foot.
somebody's got to die for the joke. I agree. I'm always willing. I like. It's definitely one of the top 5 scenarios in which I might die. Is like laughing in a violently inappropriate situation because like, it's funny. You gotta laugh at it. That's just how it is.
Yeah. It's real. It's real. Eric Andre said he wanted to fucking skydive into a sold out theater and just have his parachute not open and hit the ground. Thanks
That's
for
what's
coming.
Exactly. And if somebody doesn't laugh at that, what was the point?
What's the point? How about, let me think, what else is going on? Is it just civil? Well, I guess it's not civil anymore, is it? Unrest? Unrest? So loud.
I mean, it just seems like a continuation of all of the conditions of the last years, the same shit I've seen going on this whole time since Occupy, really. And it seems like really these two situations have come together in the moment. Because like I was talking about earlier, underlying the murder that kicked this off is why, like, the reasons that make it possible to just constantly murder black dudes on camera and like face no consequences. And because underneath that is the economic disparity, a lack of opportunity, and guarantee of freedom through a job guarantee or whatever is going to give you a position to buy into society, which is guaranteed for some people and is guaranteed to not exist for other people.
Not even fucking there.
And there's definitely like plenty of crossover. I mean, like, I grew up in Okmulgee too, and like faced a lot of the same shit, like my parents and so on. You know about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, and even though I'm Mexican, I don't appear Mexican or have any Mexican culture, so I don't have a lot of the risk that would come even with being a brown person, even though I am.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, my life was still caught up in the same cycle of poverty and shit. It's just that wasn't guaranteed for me because I don't look or act brown.
Alright.
Whereas if you do look or act brown or statistically black, then you're almost guaranteed to be fucked. You can go, like, just look, like, in hospitals at newborn babies and say, like, what towns and what parts of town are these babies from. They're going to fail. Like 98% of these babies are going to fail. And these babies from this other place are not. And it's not incidental that, like, black people have been segregated into those areas. And it's not incidental at all. And this whole, like, sort of hands washed a responsibility thing that liberals do is horseshit. That's why, like, it's insulting to be like, go vote.
Right. Yeah.
What was the very beginning of this?
You were saying at the end there, it's insulting to say go vote. And I was just, because, yeah, historically it hasn't done anything noticeable, really. Maybe we don't take baby steps toward the end goal, right? Ever. You take baby steps toward something. What are you doing here? We're all getting faked out, man. These feints, right?
Oh, I was talking about the underlying conditions that bring these things together that are like the common thread between Occupy and Black Lives Matter protests that I've been watching with sort of similar motifs since I like was first got invested in this kind of thing or started following it or whatever. And so, I mean, like it just seems like a continuation of these same situations, and the reason that maybe it will be different is because it's continued boiling, and now that we're in this pandemic situation where even more people who are maybe on the fringes of that argument are now like en masse also disenfranchised and destitute. There's even like more cause in the moment for them to have come together. So I'm not sure how it might go differently from those other situations, which were more of a particular one of those things. And I think here, like maybe there's a general and unified cause of the conditions that caused this situation, which is why I was talking about earlier. Just arresting the cop that did that didn't stop this situation at all, because maybe people are over that kind of one-off personal narrative idea,
Right.
because that's not obviously not what's happening. It's not like this is an isolated incident. How could this have happened? It's like we've been watching this year after year after year, and we keep fighting, and like we just can't take it anymore. It's too much.
It's kind of inspiring that this is going on and on. It hasn't been
Yeah,
a
I'm
couple
kind of
of
surprised that.
days.
Yeah, I thought it might end after a couple days too. But that's what I mean.
Hopefully, we
Like,
gotta
there's
find
like
some protests tomorrow.
40% unemployment or some shit like that now. So
Right. Right.
people from that part of the argument who are
That's them.
thinking like the economic system and shit that has let them down, which to me like they are the same issue, because this economic system has been coded and built out of black people this whole time as like property rather than humans.
Right. It's gross.
It is. It sure fucking is, buddy. So I don't like hold it against Killer Mike exactly. It's not really my place to do that. But I also don't agree with any of those people who are doing okay and acting like doing shit the same way is going to or has ever changed the way things work for all those people who aren't and
Right.
who have never been. It just seems to me like you like take a bunch of money from a company and then become their spokesman. They're still
Right.
poisoning the
It's
water, but come on guys, they have all the jobs.
right. Ugh. Just gets grosser and grosser. Grosser and grosser.
And I don't necessarily think that's like where Killer Mike in specific is coming from, or want to speak to that or anything specifically like that, but I think in effect that is what it is in effect though.
It's just a cycle, and it keeps on repeating. Are we going to break the wheel this time? Let's vote. I'm gonna vote on it. I'm gonna say, no, 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 man. I don't know. I don't know what I want. Because, yeah, I mean, that's gonna dismantle everything that has made, our shit lives as cushy as they are in comparison to what they could be.
Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, that's part of
A
the
sacrifice.
way that system keeps everyone inside of its framework is by like giving you just enough in relation to everything that like can barely or not hold on to the edge, that you need to maintain it to survive. This is obviously the world you live in, where if you
Yeah.
don't comply, you fall. It's bottomless out there, and you know it. We come from it,
Yep.
and yet like for all the millions and millions of people who don't quite catch the edge, they're falling forever and have been this whole time, always. That's why, like, and I get so frustrated when I talk with people about politics because they want to talk about politics, and all I want to talk about is like, look, do you like as a person, do you or not? Either this shit like works, its whole goal is to like build freedom and sanctity for human life, or it's using them. You're
Fuck
farming
that.
me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a
So,
fucking
like, tell me what you
livestock.
fucking stand for. I don't want to sit here and talk about technical shit with you.
No.
You're just hiding behind that. What you're saying is, even I know that like millions of people, like that I have a position that the world makes out of the suffering of millions of people, like explicitly. But I would, I want it. I'm afraid of falling with them or whatever, which is all like true. Like we've both been there. Like absolutely, I've always been terrified of how close that ledge has been my whole life.
So close. At any second, even if you're like,
Mm.
you think you're doing better than you ever were, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there. And then people are like, yo, crash, but why don't you have a safety net? What's going on?
Because we
How
don't
come
live.
you need that check? Yeah. Oh, I remember. It's fucking riot related. Is these niggas gonna get a second stimulus check? Spin the wheel. People are talking about that. It's like, y'all out here wild and we ain't getting shit now. I think they gotta drop something, right? To quell it for even a couple of seconds. But then, I don't know, you're giving us money to get armed with, right? You're giving us money to go fucking find that forge in Okmulgee.
I just don't know. I don't know how long it would take, like before the state tried to negotiate with the people. Because right now, I mean, it's fully posturing. We're rolling in the
Yeah.
tanks.
Standing there bowing out their fucking chest, peering into your eyes, soulless, just a nigga in a helmet. What's it with black people calling white people a nigger? Cause they're like, this white nigga over here. It's like really funny. Hey, is the mic mute whenever I put it up?
Ish.
I don't know why I ever expect anything to work. I mean, this thing has a little lemonade on it, honestly. Shit. Okay. I don't know. I feel like they gotta give us a little bit more now. Give me 500,000.
I mean,
I swear I'll stay.
that's what like. I mean, that's what I would like to see come out of this. Like, I do agree that organization will be important and message, because I think at some point you have to have strategic capture. Like you have to make people's lives inconvenient consistently. You have to find the thing they want to happen every day and make it not happen. And then you have to use that leverage to say what you want. And I think, like, some of the things you want are a job guarantee for sure, and massive decriminalization and prison emptying just to start. I think those two things are probably the like primary points you want to make, and then like maybe after that, reparations.
Get them bakers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Get that mule. That Tesla. Stop playing. That
It's
shit
like
never gonna
this
happen. We
whole
gotta
country
find.
has showed us that we're not people this whole time, and we've built everything. So buy us in, or we're holding your shit.
Yeah. Holding them nuts, yo.
Mm.
This goes back to the original point. A white man's water would get hot right away. You gotta get my shit timed. That is a real pistol. That's a Glock. What are they doing? They're gonna go in and make sure and try to find the person that was throwing out golf balls. It's a golf ball.
You need a Glock for somebody throwing golf balls.
It's a golf ball, man. Does your Glock shoot golf balls out? This motherfucker got the gas blaster. Alright.
It was like inevitable that this would happen. I mean,
Yeah, we were just literally one guy away, right? We're always just one dude too much. One chick too many.
and it's inevitable that this is the way the police and the state responds to. I mean, you've militarized them and armed them with military equipment and institutionally instructed them that not all people are people. Like, you've taught them how to separate themselves, this like the people that the state is bought into versus this rabble that is inconvenient to the state. Like, you've made an inherent separation, and that's what I mean about like the causes that make it possible for you to just murder that man on TV, like every week, basically 2-3 times a week sometimes, and nothing happened. It's because like the state has made the distinction between what is a person and what isn't. So even if one person gets punished, that's sort of irrelevant. That's still how the system has separated people. So like the police out here, like they're not doing this to people. You don't fucking pepper spray crowds
Right.
of people in the face or
Right,
fucking
yeah.
shoot reporters of people. You know, these are terrorists, right? Or
Yeah.
you know, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's just inevitable.
I'm just doing my job. Yikes. So I wonder what, man, every day is like, what's it gonna look like?
Mm.
This is probably, I mean, it seems to get stronger every day, right?
It's
It's gonna get tough.
not impossible that there'd be some kind of civil war. I'm not saying there will
It's
be,
never
but
possible.
if there's a couple more steps of escalation, and if parts of the military forces involved like decide that they're human after all, then
We stand
then
down.
who sees? We cross the fucking line. Maybe we just have like tank on tank fights in the middle of American cities, man. Like,
Fire.
I mean, like, how far have we? And that's just a wild arrogance to me when I've looked at how the system has worked in terms of like the lives and shit it chews up here and all over the world. Like, how far do we really think we've ever been from being Syria or whatever?
Ooh.
It's just that we all agree to stop right here.
That shit's over with, ain't it? Well, we don't know, but, I mean, fuck, man. Has it ever been this big, though? Like so many states? Has it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Occupy
Right, that was
was.
everywhere. They were
Yeah.
everywhere.
Maybe before then, not really since the 70s, probably. And that did have some instances, and that was sort of what, like, de-escalated it, probably. And there were some instances of, like, people, National Guard and shit, firing on school protesters and shit, you know?
Whoa.
Like Kent State or whatever, just opening fire in the crowd of students.
Oh, yeah. God damn. Hmm. And what ended? Jesus Christ. What's that look like today? You know?
Yeah, I do know. That's what I mean. I do know that I don't know.
Yeah. Or nope. I feel like if shit takes that turn here, I mean, we're probably gonna be one of the fucking weirdest situations. Because, like, everybody here is armed to the motherfucking teeth. Actually, I should probably just call somebody and be like, what's that? Jordan will drop a couple of freaking claymores off. It's a big two-handed sword, right?
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's also like a trip mine.
Yes, it is. Yeah. See, I need both. My guy. So, I mean, it goes further, right? There's good cops, bad cops, right? We're going to have some on our team, right? We're going to have some National Guard niggas on our team, 3,000%.
Exactly. And the other way around, too. All those fucking hillbillies, though they should be on your side, will not be.
Oh, shit. I did not think about that. Splinter cells. That's not good. I didn't think about that. And they're already, I mean, they're showing their colors right now, so. That's why people are fucking finding them and trying to weed them out of their crowds. Little do they know, they're your leaders.
It was me the whole time. It is I, Dio. It's me, Dio.
Oh, man. Just took over that nigga body. That'd be crazy. He's a cop. What the fuck? He knows where you are. He can see you. You look like you're ready to do laundry. I'm listening. Sorry, you sound like... I'm sorry. Wow, there's really nothing to talk about but riots.
Another thing you need is voting reform. Like, fucking online voting. Available to everybody. Fuck you. Make it easy and convenient as fuck. Give everybody access to it.
Fucking felons can't vote. Right?
Sure can't. And that's why, and it's not like it's a fucking, like, voting day is a national holiday. It's not like everybody gets off, you know. Particular people get off. I wonder what those people look like.
Yeah. Well, we know. And he's got a nicely ironed shirt, for sure. They're moving all these motherfuckers everywhere. It's only 7 p.m. here.
I would love to see some fucking protests try to empty a prison.
Oh.
That would be my favorite thing that ever happened.
Yeah, some of the motherfuckers work at them, you know? It's like, we run this shit, though, actually. And then, I mean, just imagine the numbers on the streets. That's too much. Oh, I see some 14-year-olds out here marching. Yay! What the fuck? Adults only. You gotta check IDs for protests. Protest.
Protest bouncers.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Hey, nah.
Nah, bro. You white.
Let me see your.
White people.
Nah. Nah, get the fuck out of here. I'm not a cop, I swear. I'd have to tell you.
Look how many people have this. They're like flies. Ew.
That is how the state sees them, yeah, exactly. That's why they can, like, run them over with impunity.
Yep. SWAT at them to disperse them. Send in the SWAT. This is spooky looking, man. A line of cops with a line of National Guard niggers behind them. It's like, shouldn't at least a few of the National Guard niggas be on the other side? Them your cousins and shit. What do you do, man? Police. Y'all don't live here, it's okay. Police don't live there at all. Except for him. Shit is weird. I don't know, man. I was telling John, I was like, nothing's gonna change. We've done this before, blah, blah, blah. And then that same night, I was just watching. I was like, hey, they going hard. No. I just don't know. Damn. House is the only thing. They found a picture of Logan Paul looting. Who gives a fuck? I don't understand. Yeah. Who gives a fuck? It's clout chasing. That's all it ever has been. Shit was like a professional picture. It's like...
I hope he goes to jail for it. Only him.
That would... Just got him. They fucking got him. We can back it up, bro. That's what we needed. We needed a white man to get fucked. Pack it in. We're going back to work. Oh shit, there's still no job.
There have been, like, celebrities and shit out. NBA players and stuff have been out in Atlanta and some of the other places. You'd see some kind of tragedy happen in a scenario like that, and shit might go a whole different way.
Yeah.
So it's good to see, like, that kind of thing. Jaylen Brown or whoever who, like, is bought in, who's, like, now on the successful side of the system, like, putting himself at risk for, like, where he comes from and how shit is, you know.
Yeah. It's like that's really your people. You hold a little weight and you got a hand in this fight. What is it called? What is the phrase? A dog in this fight.
Dog in this fight.
Wow, is that phrase? Holy shit. I've got a cock in this fight. They're gonna pull one on over me. Fuck. Man, you make a fucking noise back there. We don't have any other topics. That's the only thing in this world right now is fucking rioting. Fucking politicians locking their doors.
I mean, it's a pretty big topic, though. I mean, it's not like it's an isolated incident. We're having a pretty historical, systemic conversation because this is a boiling up of all of the circumstance.
Yeah. Man. What do we do? I guess this. Man.
I mean, in a little while, like, all these cities and states and shit are about to be broke as fuck, too, over this pandemic. Right. So, who knows? I don't see a lot, like, the underlying situation getting anything but worse for a while now. Like, poor people ain't about to get unpoor.
No, that ain't happening. What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck?
Oh no. I want to see some
The status
negotiating.
quo ain't coming back, right? It's not coming back. It was like, when coronavirus is over, when this is over. It's
And that
like,
shit was making me mad
always,
all along,
yeah.
and it's clearly not just me. No, but
Huh?
like I ain't trying to fucking go back to how it was. Are you kidding
Huh?
me? Like how it was, people wasn't people and shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
you was fucking farming people. No, I'm not trying to go back to that. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. Get the fuck out of here. He did this as much as everybody else.
Right. Ooh. Ooh. That's killing, brother. And how did it end up like that? Either it's like, fuck, man, what the fuck? And sometimes I just be scrolling, and it's like, Donald Trump says this, and I'm like, wait, how did he become the president? What the fuck happened? Like, when did, like, I still can't even fucking deal with that. That's weird. I'm gonna show my kid The Apprentice. Like,
Yep.
that's a fucking cunt right there, little guy. That is a cunt. Every year you get to watch a new season of The Apprentice. You'll get it. He's gonna grow up to fucking admire the guy. What did I do? What did I do?
You're
I
fired,
could be
Dad.
president too. Oof. What else you got?
I ain't got shit. I never had the answers. I've just been mad.
I guess that's it. Man, shut the hell up.
It has been an eventful year.
It really has. And it's, wow, I can't believe we're so deep in the year right now. It's deep
That'd
in
be
that
June.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oof. What a time to be born, child. I see some fires in the street on the way home from the hospital.
Yeah. All I've known is war.
Yeah, it's gonna be a strong motherfucker. Trained with a sword by the time I was 3. Yes. Little barbarian. Just like his mom. Anyway.
Bang, bang.
Gang. Okay, we'll talk soon. I'll do some laundry. Peace. Let me know,